All right, welcome to the presentation. We're going to jump right into this and just really do like a snapshot, bullet pointed, and see if we can get this to where we can get the information across quickly, succinctly, and in a short amount of time. So there's our disclaimer. Do you believe you're getting enough of your vitamins, minerals, protein, healthy fats, fibers, your branched chain amino acids, clean water in your daily diet? And most people would have to say no, even myself. When I get things from the grocery store, they're usually in a bottle, they're in some kind of package, a box, plastic, a jar, which means they're processed. And those very fragile vitamins and those micro and macronutrients get destroyed. And so we're left with a lot of synthetics that don't work as well. So it's very difficult, even if you're choosing those healthy boxes and jars and things. And could we do better? For ourselves and our family. And if you've seen some of the documentaries, these are some that I saw early on that really educated me as to the loss of these micro and macronutrients, not only in our processed foods, but also in our whole foods, where it takes 51 bowls of spinach in 2007 to get the same amount of micronutrients that used to be in one bowl of spinach. And there's all kinds of charts and graphs and studies that confirm this. So what do we do? And that's where we have to turn to supplementation. In fact, Food Matters says you cannot get your micro and macronutrients from the grocery store anymore. But then it's also difficult to find a good supplement that is honest, has integrity, and then also the know-how and the science to deliver those micro and macronutrients. Rhonda, who's usually on this presentation with me, this is her slide of her story. And she was 37 when she got started with Isogenics. I was 36. She was actually introduced by John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus. And I know John Gray, and I was just at a meeting with him recently, and he says he's never been more excited about Isogenics than he is right now. And it's been more than 20 years. So this is from an interview where Dr. Casey Means, she shared these latest statistics, which had my jaw on the ground. I knew it was bad, but this is the up-to-date, very recent. 74% of adults are overweight or obese. 50% of children are overweight or obese. That's not okay. 18% of teens have fatty liver disease, which you would find in a late-stage alcoholic. 77% of young adults are unfit to serve in the military. A couple of weeks ago, I had a gentleman that I know that I've helped with Isogenics in the past said his daughter isn't able to get into the boot camp and he needs to get a 30-day system. A 30-day Isogenic system, which would help her get fit and get into the military. 50% of adults are pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic. That's half the country. 30% of teens are now diabetic or pre-diabetic. And Casey said in that interview, a pediatrician would have never seen anybody with diabetes in the 1950s. It was less than 1%. Cancer skyrocketing in the young and old, and there is an expected 2 million new cases this year. That's expected. The U.S. has the highest rate of infant and mother mortality rate than any other developed country. So delivering a baby is more dangerous in the United States than any other developed country, in spite of us spending 10 times more in that industry, in the healthcare industry. So these things are not good. Autism, 1 in 36. It was 1 in 1,500 in 2000. But you go back another 20 years and it was 1 in 10,000. And I'd have to say, along with diabetes, I just never heard of autism back when I was in elementary school. All of these conditions are caused or driven by the exact same thing, which is metabolic dysfunction. What's happening in the gut, in the stomach? All roads lead from the gut to the rest of the body, right? And it's about eating nutritionally deficient toxic foods. And that's right from Casey Means, who was a surgeon for 9 years, who walked away from the industry because they weren't addressing causes. They were just putting Band-Aids on it, and her patients were not getting better. Here's my results in 2005. I was actually eating super healthy on an incredible, intense cardio program, lifting weights, eating healthy because I'm going to try and get healthy, right? So I'm eliminating all the bad food. I think a lot of people could relate to that. The junk food, the stuff we know is not healthy. And I started eating whole foods. I started juicing and supplementing and exercising, and it wasn't working. I released weight in the first week or two, but then it stopped. And I still had a long ways to go. And I got on Isogenics, and I immediately got the results after I was plateaued out on a whole food and exercise program. But yet I added this supplement, and all of a sudden I started getting these results. Changed my life, my mental clarity, my energy. And I just continued to use the products because I love them. I became addicted to them in a healthy way. And I lost the addictions that I had for the unhealthy foods like ice cream and Snickers bars and soda. And it was quite an amazing experience. And it really changed my life. And here I am 19 years later, still sharing the story. This is 4.5 months. So not only did it shoot me through a plateau, but it took me to places that I had always hoped I could get back to, and dreamed about, but never was. Isagenix helped me to fulfill that dream. And I just want other people to feel the same that I do. I know that our health, the way we look and the way that we feel and our confidence has everything to do, with the results that we're getting. And so I just, have been very passionate about sharing that. Now, these were the 3 products that were the foundation of Isagenix back then. They had just released this not even a year earlier, the Ionic Supreme, which is an adaptogen support. This is a nutritionally supported detox program. Intermittent fasting probably is more of the term nowadays. And then our daily nutrition. Healthy people are healthy because they do healthy things every day. That's the cause and the effect. It's not by luck or by chance. It's literally following science. And then we've added products over the years, and some of them that we're going to talk about today, the telomere support, our whole food. We had a breakthrough in vitamins that hasn't happened in over 100 years. And then we also have a game changer when it comes to collagen. So let's start off with the vitamins. Processed food or manufactured food started happening around the 1920s when we became more of an industrialized nation, assembly lines, factories, and fast-paced life, and a lot of people in one area. And so they wanted to make food more readily available that was quicker and cheaper. And when they process the food, you process out these very fragile micro and macronutrients. Well, people started dying that were eating, large percentage of their diet started to become this processed food, and they literally started dying. Scurvy, pellagra, which starts out as a rash, a skin rash, but it will progress into death if not addressed. And that's all because of the lack of a B vitamin. And then you had things like rickets, which is with the skeletal system, and other things that they were dealing with because they weren't getting those micro and macronutrients from the whole food sources anymore. Well, the government stepped in and by law mandated that these companies needed to put these nutrients back into these processed foods that were processed out. And so what was born was the synthetic vitamin that was created in a lab. They're just a more durable molecule, and they're able to withstand free radicals and things like that, but they're more of a rough form of what you would get from the whole food sources because they were made in a lab, and they only covered a small parameter of each of the vitamins. So this that you're seeing here, vitamin A, that's a synthetic form, only has 1/4 of what you would get from a whole food source. So as you go down through here, the B6, 1 out of 6 different parameters. So 5 parameters are missing. So what happened is they prevented death that was happening very quickly from, starving the body of these nutrients. They provided a small amount and dynamic of each one of these, which prevented that death. But it wasn't promoting health and quality of life. And we've seen over the years now, as our processed foods and stresses and these chemicals have become a bigger problem, this is not keeping up anymore. And so now we have all these degenerative diseases that are really plaguing us as a society. Well, what Isagenix has done is they've worked with labs across the country for the last 5 years, millions of dollars, and worked with these scientists in these labs to figure out how can we protect these vitamers. They're called vitamers. So if you take the vitamin B6, where it has these 6 different dynamics, you're looking at the 6 different molecules of that vitamin. And all of these are important to supporting the human body and our organs so that they operate optimally, so that we're promoting health and wellness and, better endurance and mental clarity, and our digestive systems are working properly because they're getting the fuel that they need from these vitamins. Well, Isagenix did it. We're going to watch a short video here of Dr. Plant, who headed this up as the CSO in charge of this for Isagenix. So let's watch real quick, and I'll come back to this slide. Let's listen to Dr. Plant here.
Let's talk about something you probably never thought you'd be talking about, vitamins, right? What makes a vitamin different? It's an everyday word that we use, we see it everywhere. How can we stand out in this, or how can we revolutionize something as old as vitamins? And to me, this has been kind of a big part of what I've been working on in the last 5 years. The reason is because, one, the vitamin space hasn't changed in 100 years. It hasn't changed in 100 years, and yet it is by far the largest segment of the supplementation space. And to me, it's sad that this huge behemoth of the supplement space hasn't evolved in 100 years. People have just been kind of going the status quo when there has been a huge gap in the need of what people are looking for. And it's not just finding different ratios of vitamins. It's nothing like that. It is way more revolutionary than that. If people can fully understand the message of what we are conveying here, the way in which you are looking at your pantries, the way in which you look at all the food that has been handed to you since about 1950 has been greatly adulterated. So right now, for the last 100 years, people have not been able to solve this problem. We know we can prevent people from getting scurvy and pellagra and dying by putting in synthetic vitamins, but we're not being able to provide optimal wellness. And it is because these natural vitamins that the food inherently contains is so quickly degraded. Your vitamin C in orange juice, fresh squeezed orange juice, is only going to last a day, right? And so how do you solve this problem? And this is what we've been working on for years at Isogenics, is we've been able to work with partners in different labs across the United States to where we've been able to analyze and isolate these natural vitamins and put them in a protective cellulose casing. That's the cell wall of plant material. And so now they're protected. Now individuals for the first time can now get all of their vitamins and minerals sourced from whole fruits and vegetables. And for the most part, the average individual really hasn't been getting their vitamins sourced from natural fruits and vegetables since about the 1950s.
So I'm not going to go back. I just want to actually hit some bullet points. If you want to know more on that science, I have other recordings where you can get a deeper look into that. But this is a big deal.
Let's talk about something you probably never thought.
So there's just some of the bullet points on that. But the thing is people are feeling different immediately, like I did once I started taking this new supplement, because it's turning on things in my body that haven't been turned on. Even when you're eating the whole foods, they don't have the adequate amount. But there are some people that all they're eating is processed foods, so they're not turning on any at any time during their day and with their diets, turning on those other parts of their human anatomy. So people are seeing things with their digestive system, with their mental clarity, just a lot of different results that we're now seeing. Even my wife is noticing things with something that she's dealt with for over 30 years now. And since taking the Pure Plant 21 whole food vitamin, she's no longer dependent on some things that she was before. Let's jump into another pillar of health, our telomere support. And I was mentored by Bill Andrews, and he taught me about telomeres. And they're on the tips of our chromosomes. So I made this rope, and the telomeres being depicted in the red tape. And as you can see, the red tape is disappearing, and that's exposing our DNA inside our chromosomes and damaging it. And that's the software of our cells. So simply put, the more DNA we lose, the bigger the problems we're going to have with our physiology of our anatomy, because it's not getting the instructions to operate. And eventually, if you lose enough DNA, you'll die because your organs are going to shut down. It's like a computer crashing when it loses enough software. So DNA is software. And this is something that's been happening with our chromosomes that happens over time. And so as the chromosome gets shorter and shorter, we have more and more problems with our health. Well, we've now accelerated this process through the different chemicals and stress and preservatives and additives that are in our food, but also in our air, water, and in our environment, maybe even at work, where we're exposed to different things. And it can even happen when we're in the womb, because the chemicals that are being passed on through the umbilical cord, they now find over 300 chemicals in a newborn baby's blood, being passed on from the environment to the mother to the baby. So these children are having issues with they're having degenerative issues because the telomere is being attacked, which causes the malfunction in an organ in their body, and then they're labeled with something. And every degenerative disease has been linked to this process. That's Nobel Prize winning research. And Bill Andrews, his life's mission as he learned about this as a geneticist was, well, why is the body not healing this? It has the ability to heal itself on every level. Now, he knew about telomeres and DNA and the nucleic bonds and the damage that was happening, but he's the one that identified this enzyme in humans in 1994, and it's called telomerase. And he believed, wasn't proven, but he believed that it could fix this problem. Like when you get a cut, the skin, your body just fixes the cut. It's gone. The Band-Aid doesn't fix it. The body does, right? The cells do. Well, he proved in 1997, working with human cells with damaged telomeres and DNA, that when they induced more of this enzyme in the cells, it started repairing. It reversed. That's never happened before. He did it in 1997. And over 10 years, they've been trying to find compounds to induce more of this enzyme. And that's where they've been stuck. They haven't been able to find a way to find something that would do it safely to support the body to produce more of that enzyme, which is naturally occurring in the body. The only thing that they could find to do it, where they proved it, was chemicals. And that's where Isogenics came in. Isogenics came in and partnered up with Bill Andrews and helped him find a nutraceutical that aided that process. And he says it's the greatest step for mankind when it comes to the landscape of human health. He said in this article in Popular Science that if we could get this guy right here physiologically to get all of his genes, all of his DNA to express like this, he would go back to that. Because it's an expression. This outward expression is an expression of the inward, what's happening on the inside. And that guy doesn't have very good telomeres and DNA. But if you could get it to come back, then you would get the information back and the cells would just automatically mirror reflect. And you see that in some people who have a really good lifestyle. They just look younger for their age. I look younger than I did when I started Isogenics. And I'm doing things that I did when I was younger thanks to this product. So this is a great example of just kind of turning that clock back, of activating that enzyme. This is Bob Sheridan, and he had no hope. The doctors just told him, go home and get the paperwork prepared because there's nothing we can do for you. And a friend of mine shared the telomere support with him, and this is him 1 year later. That was back in 2012. And so we've been seeing these kind of youthful results that people so much appreciate in their lives because of this telomere support product. Okay, let's jump into the next one. The next pillar, this one I believe is the biggest foundation because you have to eat every day, right? And our food has actually become dangerous. Have you seen a lot of these influencers and memes that are out there now on social media, just trying to educate and give the voice of warning out there? There's so many of them that are getting out there now about the dangers of our food. In fact, a lot of our food isn't even allowed in other countries, even in a whole food form, because they GMO'd it. And they're using dangerous pesticides, so they just don't even allow it in their countries. So we need a food source that will not only be safe, but also effective in delivering the nutrients that the body needs. And Dr. Paul Arciero is the one who has done our clinical studies, and he's been on this mission for over 30 years doing clinical studies and seeing how micro and macronutrients impact human health. And one of the things that he's known for is protein. And he says that needs to be the foundation of the pyramid, food pyramid. They got it all backwards. There was things that happened under the table and things that were not integritous with ultra-processed food companies and the FDA and scientists and universities. And he says we need to get back to helping people understand that they need to be ingesting more protein on a daily basis. And so he said a healthy diet would include 1 gram of protein for your ideal weight. So if you want to be 150 pounds, you would take in 150 grams of protein. Very difficult to do from the grocery store. If you look at a regular size chicken breast, that's 25 grams. 1 egg, that's 6 grams of protein. 21 nuts, 3 grams of protein. And so, I would have to eat like 5 or 6, pieces of chicken a day. Or maybe I want to eat like 5, 6, 7, 8 eggs and like 3 pieces of chicken, or 4 pieces of chicken and, how many nuts. I would be sick of this if I had to do it every day. I am so grateful that Isogenics delivers anywhere from 24 to 36 grams of protein in 1 serving, and it's delicious. And it's very quick, very easy. And I love it. And I've been doing 2 shakes a day for 19 years now. And I love how they taste. I don't get tired of them, which is a total paradigm shift for me, to know that, to actually be getting my meal from a shake. But now I actually enjoy it. I'm addicted to it. And it's just made my life so much easier. And my health has improved dramatically because of all these micro and macronutrients I'm getting from the shake. So let's listen as Dr. Paul Arciero, who has over 90 published clinical studies, talks about, the need for this meal replacement shake and how it's leading the way in the world of nutrition.
So that's what we have to stay committed to. Those products that are going to keep people healthy for the rest of their life so that they can stay on them the rest of their life. And that's what we need to continue to stay focused on. We need people committed to this as a lifelong lifestyle journey, not a 30-day and done, not a 9 or 11-day and done, not a temporary transient in and out, but things that we would do for the rest of our lives to optimize our health. I'm committed to the company as well for the same reasons. They have been doing it right for over 2 decades, and why would you want to go anywhere else? It doesn't make any sense to me why anyone would want to not be a part of Isagenix or leave if they have been, because Isagenix has been doing it the right way for over 2 decades. So yeah, everything you said was wonderful.
Dr. Paul, as someone that's deeply involved in research, what's one common myth about nutrition that you wish people would stop believing?
Calories in equals calories out. Exercise more and eat less. It's this slogan that we've kind of hung up on every door of every healthcare provider in the world, that the solution to obtaining health is just to eat less and exercise more. And nothing is diametrically opposing in the human body than those two concepts. If you want to extinct a species, you want to demand that it move more and it consume nourishment less. So why we would expect that for a human is a little bit crazy. It's totally irrational. It's totally nonsensical, and I don't understand it. So that's the biggest myth that I've never understood. We walk around telling people as healthcare providers that, it's simple to get healthier, just eat less and move more. No, that would be the exact recipe that you would provide to somebody who you would want to achieve the greatest level of disease and unhealth. We need to nourish our bodies with the greatest optimal nutrient-dense nourishment in the world. That's what Isagenix provides. That's what I bring with protein pacing and prize. It's my 38 years of very rigorous, sophisticated, peer-reviewed, high-impact human clinical trial research in those 2 areas. So I'm really excited to bring the protein pacing and prize at the highest level of engagement and execution by Isagenix because it's there to survive the test of time. It's focused on the quality of how we nourish our body with the food we eat and the movement we do. That's number 1. Number 2 would be we eat too much protein. Nothing is further from the truth. We're on a completely downward trajectory since 1970 in terms of the quantity of protein we eat. I'm on a mission with the protein pacing calculator and algorithms at proteinpacing.org to completely change that. And it's all going to start right here with Isagenix. Number 3 would be whole food is all we need to obtain optimal health. That's just simply far-fetched misinformation. Our food supply is just not capable of providing us optimal nourishment right now because we've depleted the soil, we've inundated it with toxins at every level of water, air, and soil. And so we need to look to things that have been properly constructed and produced and formulated to provide optimal nourishment along with certain whole foods that we can obtain to provide us an adequate level of optimal nourishment. So it's the balance of what Isagenix provides in their optimal nutrient-dense nourishment of about 50 to 60% of our intake, with the other remaining 40 to 50% coming from those proper whole food sources of food. So that's the balance we need in order for us to achieve optimal health.
Yeah, so Isagenix has taken something really profound and simplified it. It really is probably the most complex thing I've ever done, but it's been easy and it's the best I've ever felt. one of the sayings that we have, it's the easiest thing I've ever done to feel the best I've ever felt.
Oh.
And so let's go into the clinical study, because this is human clinical studies, right, on humans. And it was actually published in the highest standard publication, Nature Communications. And Dr. Paul is so proud of that accomplishment and that achievement, which he should be. It's the strictest publication to get in. It has the highest standards in checking and fact checking and all of those things than any other publication. And this study was published in that. And this is one of the participants. So listen to what he says happened for this particular participant, which is what, in my own way, I experienced, and I've helped now thousands of other people experience as well.
All right, so the changes were profound. One of the things that we did was we had one study participant who was in the protein pacing nutritional fasting group. And this gentleman was 62 years old. So I just want to speak to some of you out there that think age makes a difference in how we respond to things. I'm here to tell you that nothing is further from the truth. At 62 years old, he had the greatest response. And again, the average age was 44, 46. He was 62. He had the greatest change in body weight loss, body fat loss, visceral fat loss, and gut remodeling. This is his gut remodeling right here that I'm showing you. We followed him because he lost 105 pounds in 120 days.
Just to interject right here, this is what Dr. Casey Means was saying when metabolic dysfunction. His gut was all messed up before starting on isogenics, and this is the remodeling where it became a healthy and became the standard of what a gut should look like.
Doctor called me and she said, this is unbelievable. I've been working with this patient for over 30 years. He's tried every diet known to humans, and he's never had this type of a response. His liver enzymes, his kidney enzymes, his blood work, he's reversed his diabetes. And I know, many of you aren't able to say this, but I can because I documented it in the study. He reversed his diabetes. He reversed his high blood pressure. He reversed his high blood lipids, all of those. He had high blood pressure. He had type 2 diabetes. He had hypertension, all of that reversed. Amazing. I'm going to end here because I think this brings it all home. Look at his gut in the picture on the left. This is him when he started. And this was 3 days before we started the study. We started the study in the fall, right at Labor Day. This is him 3 days before the study started, because we asked everyone of the subjects to take a picture of themselves. This is him the day of his testing 4 months later. 4 months, 120 days. He lost 105 pounds. He reduced his body fat drastically. His waist circumference just fell off. His blood sugar, again, he was diabetic. He went from diabetic to non-diabetic. He was hypertensive to non-hypertensive. I think I'll end there just because that's a telling picture that speaks 1,000 words. And I'm just so grateful. So to finish, what we found was that in comparison to a protein pacing, nutritional fasting, to a heart healthy Mediterranean style diet, total weight, fat, and visceral fat loss was upwards of 58% improvement. Gut microbial diversity was a 25% increase. And then the reduction in GI symptoms was 55% improvement.
Okay, awesome.
All right, so the change.
Awesome study there. So here we have somebody that wasn't getting the micro and macronutrients they needed. This is Sarah, and she's a good friend, and she wasn't getting better, but she was staying alive, but some people die, but they go on living for another 15 or 20 years. They have no quality of life. And her, Crystal, who's now friends with Sarah, really good friends. They're together all the time and sharing isogenics with other people. And she shared isogenics with Sarah. And once she started getting those micro and macronutrients, her body started to respond to that. So this is just the progression. That's like a year. That's, maybe 2 or 3 years. And this is this year, just a couple months ago, August 2024. And now she's enjoying life. In fact, she used to need to live next to the hospital in case she needed to run over there and get a transfusion real quick to save her life. Now she moved a couple states away and found a boyfriend that, this significant other that she's just enjoying life with. They're hiking, kayaking, jogging, doing all the things that she loves doing outdoors. So again, we know that when we improve our nutrition, we improve the body's ability to thrive. We're not just keeping people from dying, right? Like the synthetic vitamins we're doing. Next transition is into intermittent fasting. This is part of that clinical study. This is so essential, especially in today's environment with all the chemicals and preservatives and things that our bodies don't metabolize and things that actually attack the body and are harmful for it in the way of chemicals. So intermittent fasting, there's different ways to do it with our Cleanse for Life, but it has over 100 active ingredients that are supporting the body through the nutrition that our organs need to get the bad stuff out. And it does it through the urination process. So we're in a very toxic environment, like I said, with the newborn babies that have over 300 chemicals in their blood before they're even born, right? That would never happen if the mother was drinking and getting the nutrients that she needed to get them out. The placenta is supposed to protect the baby from these harmful and harsh chemicals, but the body's way undernourished and it's way overwhelmed with all of these environmental chemicals that are in our air, water, and food. Some of them they're putting in their own purpose. So like the food colorings and the preservatives. So this is an unhealthy body where these chemicals are not being addressed. Your filters would be your colon and your liver and your kidneys. Get it out through the urine. But since they're not leaving, they're staying in the body. And then what the science had discovered that we had already been educating people on, but in 2005, they said that your body will hold on to more and more fat to harbor the toxins. That red thing on the front Newsweek magazine front cover, that red thing is a toxin right there. And this is a fat cell. So as our fat cells fill up with toxins and they get crowded, the body just expands the fat cells and they get bigger and bigger. So this is why we're seeing now what used to be sideshow fat, right? In the circus where somebody was morbidly obese. Now that's just become common. It's because of this toxic environment and this lack of nutrition in our food. So the Cleanse for Life is going to help aid the body get the nutrients that it needs to help the body rid these toxins. And the way it does it is it just circulates it back through the liver and to the kidneys and then out through the urine. Now, one of the things with weight loss that's not addressed is getting those toxins out of the fat cells. And I'm going to show you in the clinical study where this is one of the things that he couldn't believe with the visceral fat that was lost in the participants that were on isogenics because the intermittent fasting was part of the program. So let's say this is a fat cell with these toxins inside the fat cell. When we diet, we calorie restrict, which means we're not putting in as much energy into the body. And then what the body does is it goes to the fat cells and pulls that energy from the fat. Well, what that does is it shrinks the fat cell. Now it releases the toxins into the cardio system. So the toxins that were tucked away safely in the fat are now in the bloodstream. And the body knows this. And once you're in that mode right there, you won't lose any more fat. It becomes a plateau. And that's why they invented liposuction, right? We're going to suck it out with a vacuum. So what happens is we get tired of not seeing the results anymore. We don't feel as good. The toxins in our bloodstream make us feel more tired and sluggish, and our mental clarity, the mental fog increases. So then we give up on the diet and we start eating more calories, which just is turned right back into fat to put those toxins back into the fat. So what isogenics did for me when I was in my plateau, exercising extreme and eating extremely healthy. And I was in a plateau for about 2.5 months. And I was introduced to isogenics. I introduced this intermittent fasting with the Cleanse for Life. And I released 27 pounds in 25 days and 53 pounds in 8 weeks. Shot me right through the plateau and took me to infinity and beyond. And so now cleansing has become a normal part of my lifestyle routine. I do it on a regular basis. So, and it's been actually 19 years now. So on the visceral fat, you can see this is an MRI cutaway. This is some fat that the body's just hanging on to. And it's the most dangerous fat, the fat that collects around the organs. They call it dirty fat, toxic fat, brown fat, because it's holding these toxins. That's 6 months later. He couldn't believe it. He said, you never see that kind of visceral fat loss ever. It doesn't matter if you're exercising and eating healthy, you never see that. So, we're setting a new standard for the body's ability to, recover and repair. So we're going to cleanse, and then we're going to nourish the body with the nutrients. And these are the kind of results that we see. And it's not only just outward, it's what's happening on the inside with our health, with our vitality, our mental clarity. And here's Peter Ullman after 20 years. Here he is at 64. Here he is at 84. Bill Foster, that's a 6-month transformation, getting the junk out. And he used our telomere support in combination with the shakes and getting the nourishment in. There's my results, 36 years old. That's 4.5 months. Here I am at 28. There I'm at 50, 6.5 years ago. Here's Heather, released 125 pounds, no hanging skin, doesn't have to have it surgically removed because we're nutritionally flooding the body with the nutrients. And the skin is a living organism, so it takes care of itself. Now she's a health coach. This is in People magazine. Then you have Wendy. She was a physician's assistant. Her husband's a medical doctor, and here she is struggling with getting the results that she wants to get. She gets on Isagenix, never competed in any kind of physical competition before, figure competition, and had such great results with Isagenix, is inspired to do it. 3 world champions, all natural women's professional bodybuilding. And she did something that nobody's ever done in this industry. She won it in the same category that she did the year before, all 3 times. And nobody's ever done that. So it's like we get the body running to this optimal level, and then it just maintains it. It's like we're ageless. I feel great at 56, almost 57. I feel better literally than I ever did before Isagenix. So anyway, Bill fought. Oh, and then you have a teenager here, Chase, couldn't gain the weight because protein is very hard to consume the adequate amounts, and then also where it gets assimilated into the muscle. And he couldn't, in spite of supplementing and working out, and that's a 4-month transformation for Chase. Bill did not qualify to have the lung transplant. They said no, basically you don't qualify. After being on Isagenix for years, he qualified, he got the lung transplant, and he's the fastest to be in and out of the hospital at Stanford in the history of Stanford, 13 days, and he was good to go. And he's up to bench pressing 315 pounds. He says, I want to break the world record in bench press for somebody over 70. So again, it's about quality of life, right? It's not about just being alive. We want to feel good while we're alive. Kenya, 439 pounds. Now she's down about 530. Another People magazine article on Isagenix. And then here's my son, who's 21 now, and then my grandkids. So I have 8 grandkids, 5 kids and 8 grandkids. All right, another pillar of health, and we'll just hit the bullet points here, is over 100 active ingredients, all in this one bottle. And you take an ounce, 1 to 2 ounces every day. Comes in a powdered form. You can put it right in your shake, drink it with the shake. But a lot of people like to drink it like a warm tea. They'll just add some warm water to it. And it has all of these things in it. And adaptogens are like they can adjust to the needs of you as an individual. It's not the same for everybody. You take it and you might sleep better. Somebody else might take it and they have more energy that they're lacking. Over 70 ionic organic trace minerals. I mean, this is an incredible elixir that could have really created a company out of just on its own. Our collagen. Crystal, who shared with Sarah, also shared with a coworker, Susan, who was a nurse, and had been trying to get her on the products for years. And finally, our company came out with this new breakthrough in collagen. And she told her about it. She said, sure, I'll try your collagen. So didn't ever try any of the other products, tries the collagen, and that's her 2-week transformation on our collagen. She said, I didn't crave soda anymore, and I started taking the stairs instead of the elevator. And look at the difference in her. You know, her profile here. Sorry, I got to sneeze. 2 weeks. And she said, since this is working so good, I probably ought to get on those other products she's been trying to get me on. So that's a 1-month transformation. She started getting on the other products after the 2 weeks of collagen. So it's just an incredible visual, right? But there's a cause and effect behind this. And it started with the collagen. And so that's what I want to talk about. Our last pillar here is the collagen. And you can see this couple here, that's, about 4 months, that's 6 months. So that's her. It looks like her granddaughter. And then that's this guy, right? And it's a 2-ounce bottle. It's marine collagen. There's a whole science behind it like there is with all of our products. And there's a lot of collagens out there, and collagens have been around forever. It's the most abundant protein in the body. But Isagenix has broken, the mold. And just like with the vitamins, we did it with the collagen as well. And this has become our number 2 biggest selling product. And it only has been in Isagenix for about 4 years out of the 22 years that we've been around. So that says a lot about this product. That's 1 year for 12 months, 12 month. And these are just collagen results here. And here's some more here. That's 30 days just on the collagen, 42 days on the collagen. Most of these are 30 days, 30 days. Hair, blemishes. We're even seeing with joint and like rotator cuff, shoulder, knees. So we've had some people that haven't had to have surgeries because collagen helps with their tendons, ligaments, and bones as well as your skin and hair and nails, and as well as your organs as well. One of the things I like to point out here in closing is that our shakes are a big saver, especially in today's inflationary environment where the cost of food is rising so much. When I started Isagenix, our shakes were $2.74. And so we're up to $3.92, which isn't much. This meal, I've used this comparison since I started doing presentations back in 2006. That meal was $7.40 from Burger King. Now it's about $15. At McDonald's, it'd be $14.68 based on the McDonald's menu. But in these categories, we win all day long. Clinically, we've proven that we're the healthiest meal you could put in your body, even over a whole food diet, like Dr. Paul Arciero said. Myth number 3, I think he said, was that you're going to get all the nutrients you need from your whole foods. That's not true. You can't get it anymore. So imagine processed food, right? It's grossly lacking our micro and macronutrients. So we win there. Calories, you don't need 1,200 calories from one meal. It's way too much. We're the most overfed, undernourished country in the world because of all this processed food, which is just empty calories, which doesn't satiate you. And it doesn't get rid of your bad cravings. I never lost my cravings for Snickers bars, soda, and ice cream when I ate fast food. I eat ice cream every couple months now. I used to need it every day. Snickers bars, I haven't had one in over 10 years, and I haven't had soda in 19 years. So not only does it satiate because of the nutritional value, the micro and macros, but it also got rid of my unhealthy cravings. So if you did the comparison of 2 meals a day, either 2 fast food meals or 2 Isagenix shakes, the savings it's not comparable, just like all these other categories. Usually when you improve something, you're going to pay more, right? Not at Isagenix. We're going to profoundly improve your nutrition and help you save money. So 56 meals, $220. That's 2/3 of your meals for the month. You go to the grocery store and you don't even get like a week's worth of meals and you're over $100 easily just for 1 week, easily over $100. It's probably about $150, $160, and that's still not even going to cover all the meals. So I guarantee people a 30-day money-back guarantee, because it's unconditional, that you'll save probably about $300 on your food budget. You'll look better, you'll feel better, you'll operate better, you'll be satiated longer. You won't be snacking in between meals. Your health will improve. I mean, look at that participant in the clinical study. And you're going to save money on top of that? And I'm not saying you can't get a cheaper meal. This is from Walmart, their website, $3.43 for a ready-to-eat macaroni and cheese. That's not food. And that's not going to be the only thing you eat for 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours. You're going to eat more, and that's going to make the price go up, which would put you over the price of our meal of a shake. So this is a no-brainer, you guys. There's lots of ways to get started. They have packs where they bundle things together, which just makes a savings. Like you go to Costco and you buy like ginormous amount of cereal, you're going to get it less expensive, right? Because you're buying more in that packaged deal. Same thing with Isagenix. So you can just take a snapshot of this, get back with the person that got you here. Everything's available a la carte, so there's just whatever your needs are. Some people like the big package deals. I like going to Costco, right? And you always spend more than you expect to spend at Costco. But we have, for whatever your perception is of how you want to spend your money to fuel your body. These really are the greatest value right there. That's the best bang for your buck But again, it depends on the person and their perception and how they want to do it. So it's good to know that you could do it both ways. So with that, just recommend you get back with the person that got you here, and they'll help you get started and enjoying your isogenics journey that becomes a lifestyle. So with that, let me